Hello and welcome to episode number 14 of the Lucas and Lucas podcast. And we begin with none other than the Brooklyn Nets. My God, they looked absolutely dominant in game one of the season on Tuesday night against the Golden State Warriors. The first half was a complete just clinic by Brooklyn. Kevin Durant looks like he never got hurt. Kyrie Irving was incredible in the first half. And it was a game that was never in doubt. Mike, we're going to the finals.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to overreact, but I did tweet out last night that I think 72-0 is in play now. If the Nets can continue that level, which obviously they won't, and they're not going to go 72-0. But we saw last night a glimpse of when this team clicks, what they can be. And what they can be is NBA champions this season. Durant, it's one game. It's impossible not to overreact, but he looked good. He looked healthy. He hasn't played in 560 days, and he looked fresh. Now, in the nightcap last night, you saw LeBron James and Anthony Davis look a little sluggish, and I think that was to be expected considering they played NBA Finals games just 71 days ago. So KD had about 7-8 times that rest, and he looked electric. Maybe we should have listened to Steve Nash when he said Kyrie Irving was close to 99% healthy in training camp and looked like him in his peak prime position, because last night, he was unstoppable. And then you look at the rest of the team. Dinwiddie started slow, came on hot. LeVert, 29-5 off the bench. Joe Harris making clutch shots. DeAndre Jordan with double-digit rebounds. This team goes legitimately 14 deep in this weird COVID season. I think that depth is going to be critical because guys are going to either miss a few games due to COVID, contact tracing issues, or just simply want some rest because it was such a quick turnaround. Steve Nash, they didn't run any offense last night, which is a tiny bit of concern, but they looked to mesh. And I think the most important thing was Durant and Kyrie looked happy. And a happy Kyrie unlocks everything for this Nets team moving forward. Am I sold that we're going to see a happy Kyrie for 72 games, an entire postseason? No. But last night was a monumental first step in the right direction. And to see those two play off each other and look like they enjoyed playing with each other, especially Kyrie looking like he can enjoy playing with KD, that is a massive sign and a great start for Brooklyn's championship push.
I don't know about you, but I've been through this rodeo before where you have that first game. Oh, my God. Carl Stan hit 2 home runs. Oh, my God, he's the savior. Oh, my God, Brett Favre won his first game as a Jet. Oh, my God, the future looks so bright. It means nothing. Let's not get ahead of ourselves here. The true test for this team is when they go through a little bit of a losing streak, when someone gets hurt, when there's a little feud between who takes the last shot between Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant. How do they overcome and persevere through those moments? Because last night, listen, they didn't have the Warriors. It's the first game of the season. They didn't have Draymond Green. Obviously, Klay Thompson's out for the year. They're starting James Wiseman, who didn't play a single minute of preseason basketball. It's Steph Curry's first actual game action in a really, really long time since March. So there was just all these things that sort of let it. Am I surprised that it's blew out the Warriors? No. I just can't allow myself to get overexcited about that win in these circumstances because there's still so long season to go, and I just want to see them go through the bumps in the road first, and then I'll be able to say whether I truly believe this team has what it takes when push comes to shove to win a championship. But Kevin Durant, I mean, that's the biggest thing. He looks 100% healthy, and that I wasn't sure we would ever see that again, but he's back.
Can I ask a question real quick, Frank? Would you consider Stanton or Brett Favre when he came to the Jets on the same level of Durant?
I mean, Favre he had just come off an NFC Championship game appearance. I mean, when he went to the Jets, the thing was this team can go to the Super Bowl. And then Brady goes down that same day, and you're like, we're going to the Super Bowl. We're winning the division. There was never a question. The excitement level at that moment for a Jet fan was as high as it's ever been in my lifetime.
I meant caliber of player, though, because getting Durant back is a top 3 guy in the league, if healthy, and he looked like. So would you consider Favre or Stan in that same class of athlete within their own sport as Durant? Because I think that's the one difference. You could get excited about a guy who comes in, who a nice player, a good player, but Durant is truly elite. And to see him back in full form, healthy again, him alone can carry a team to an Eastern Conference Finals.
I mean, when the Jets got Favre, I mean, he like I said, he was fresh off an NFC Championship game appearance and proved that he still
Okay.
had a lot left in the tank, and there was a lot of hope that, especially after Brady went down, because this happened all in the
Okay.
same day. And obviously, we all know how it turned out. So I'm not getting ahead of myself here. Obviously, Kevin Durant being healthy is huge, but let's just take it day by day here and not get too overexcited, because every year there's something happens with Kyrie, something happens with what happened with Durant. There will be some injury that they'll have to overcome. So let's just pause.
One more question. Would you have watched Nets Celtics on Christmas Day had the Nets lost last night?
Would I have watched? Yeah, I would have watched.
Okay. I'm just, Christmas, there's other things going on. Some people don't like to, take away family time.
Yeah, I'm Jewish, so that does not factor into my thing.
That's true. I forgot. We're both partially Jewish at least, but it is now appointment television for me on Christmas Day, despite the fact I'll be working. Appointment television.
All right, so let's move on to the National Football League. We start with the Jets, who had the worst win in franchise history, beating the Rams 23-20, basically all but costing themselves the first overall pick in the draft, meaning Trevor Lawrence. The Jacksonville mayor, his name is Lenny Curry. I've never heard of him, but saw his tweet making the rounds. He goes, "The New York freaking Jets delivered an early Christmas present to Jacksonville today. Seriously, this Jets win could be a defining moment for a ball club. See you next week and see you at the draft. This is the win of the day." And that was his tweet. And Lenny Curry, I just hope that next week when you guys beat the Bears and we lose out, that I could reference this tweet and just roast you and destroy you on Twitter, because that's what you deserve, you fool. You were rooting for your team to be an embarrassment in the football league, of the National Football League, which is what they are. They are so irrelevant. They will never be a relevant franchise, no matter who they have at quarterback. You are irrelevant. I cannot stand you. I don't know you. I've never met you. I do not want to meet you. And that's where I stand on Lenny Curry.
No, wait. I'm calling timeout here. You've been rooting for the Jets to lose all season. What's the difference between you and Lenny Curry besides the fact that his last name sounds delicious and Frankel sounds like a German curse word?
All right, the curry spice is arguably the worst flavor on earth. All right, let's start there. And then the second thing is, anyone? All right, whatever. I'm not going to get into my whole how curry. Whatever. Moral of the story is, you're the mayor of a city. You represent that city, and you are rooting for embarrassment. You are happy that your team is losing. I mean, I get it from a fan standpoint. Like, you understand, like you're in the same boat as I am. You see this, savior coming up in your future in Trevor Lawrence, and you're like, oh my God, that guy's gonna save us. But you're a public figure. Be better than that. Say that you want your team to win. Say that where we're at in the season is a disgrace. It's an embarrassment. We want fans in Jacksonville to want to watch this football team. Not if there are any fans. Are there any fans in Jacksonville? Do they even have any fans? I mean, this Lenny Curry might be the only freaking Jaguars fan in the whole country, for all I know. Whatever. Lenny Curry is worthless.
Do you know a single Jaguars fan? I can't think of a single Jaguars fan that I know.
No. Who's like? I mean, like, people. Even if you're from Jacksonville, like, I guess that would be the only possible way you'd be a Jaguars fan, because you have the Buccaneers, you have the Dolphins. There are other teams in Florida, and the Falcons probably aren't that far away. But I guess if you want to be a Jaguars fan, I mean, so be it. Even if they do get Trevor Lawrence, like, you actually think he's going to be able to turn that dormant franchise around? I don't. I mean, not that he'll be able to turn the Jets around, but he's sure as heck going to turn the Jaguars around. But before we get there, if you're a Jets fan,
okay,
you're running the Jets.
Yep.
What do you do at number 2?
Okay, I was going to ask you this exact question. I loved Sam Darnold coming out of college. Thought he was a can't-miss quarterback prospect. And obviously things have gone horribly wrong since he's been the Jets quarterback. And I think it's not on his shoulders. I think Adam Gase has put him in a position to fail. I think they've failed to put competent offensive talent around him and or protect him. And if I was the Jets, and maybe this is because I don't love Justin Fields and I just refuse to trust Ohio State quarterbacks, I would trade down a couple picks if a team was in love with Trevor Lawrence, or if I was at number 2, I'd either take the offensive tackle from Oregon, Penei Sewell, or Jamar Chase, the wide receiver out of LSU, who I think is going to be an absolute superstar. Get Gase as far away as humanly possible from Sam Darnold. We saw what Ryan Tannehill has done to his career after leaving the doomsday shadow that is being coached by Adam Gase, the quote-unquote QB whisperer for Peyton Manning. That's a debunked fact. Peyton Manning was just an elite quarterback. Gase just happened to be in the right spot at the right time. But unless you love Justin Fields, you trade down, or you take a tackle, combine him with Becton, and you have the cornerstones of your offensive line for the next decade, or take Jamar Chase or Devonta Smith from Alabama, who I think are both surefire superstars in the NFL at the receiver position.
So the point about Tannehill, so since he took over as a Titan starter in week 7 of the 2019 season,
he's been as good as Mahomes.
Well, I got the stats here. So he's third in the NFL in passing touchdowns with 53, 61 touchdowns responsible for. That's second. First in yards per attempt, first in passer rating. I mean, this is the biggest referendum on Adam Gase that there is. Ryan Tannehill's career was flux. It was basically, he was on a road to nowhere, basically. He was going to be a journeyman. He was going to be a backup. And who knows how much longer he was going to be a National Football League player. But then he gets coached by somebody else other than Adam Gase, and he turns to whether you believe that he can lead Tennessee to the Super Bowl or not, a top 5 quarterback in the NFL, statistically. Whether you trust him in a big game, it's fair, but he is delivering in every conceivable way the Titans could have ever imagined, and that is just the biggest slap in the face to Adam Gase that there is. And I truly believe, and despite how Sam Darnold has looked, I truly believe that if he gets another voice in his head that's not Adam Gase, that he'll be able to have, maybe not to the extent that Tannehill is being able to turn his career on and be one of the highest paid players in the league, but we'll be able to turn into a guy who is a perennial Pro Bowl caliber quarterback. But in terms of the number 2 pick, anything other than Trevor Lawrence is just, when you're picking second in a 1-player draft,
it sucks.
It is the worst feeling in the world. And to be able, and listen, I'm still holding out hope that Jacksonville will be able to beat the Bears. The Colts scenario in week 17 is not looking promising because it looks like Indy will need to win that game either for the division or for a playoff spot because they have Pittsburgh coming up here this week. So the Colts scenario of having nothing to play for in week 17 looks very remote at the moment. So that concerns me. As for the number 2 pick, Sewell is very intriguing. I'm a huge Kyle. I think Kyle Pitts is Travis Kelce 2.0. I do
too. And if you trade down, I think I don't think you could take him at 2.
Why not?
But I think if he's your guy, you could get him at 5 or 6, and you trade down and get an extra first-round pick.
I'm going as high as 3. I think Kyle Pitts, if you get him, you throw it at him, he's catching it every time. I mean, it's an automatic. He's an automatic first down waiting to happen. And the Jets just haven't over the last time had a player like that where you just throw it to him and he's got it. And I think him and Darnold would be an elite 1-2 combination. But
I just think and I'm going off what you're saying, it's impossible to truly evaluate a quarterback when they have nothing around them because no one looks good without an offensive line and no one looks good without weapons to throw to unless you're Mahomes, Russell Wilson, or Aaron Rodgers. And Darnold may get to that point at one point of his career, but he's not right now. And I don't think any quarterback outside of those 3 and maybe 1 or 2 other guys I'm probably forgetting, but you look at Lamar Jackson, when everything's right, he looks like an MVP. He is an MVP. When things aren't right, you're like, is this guy even a starting quarterback in the NFL? So I think Darnold, if you think Fields or Zach Wilson or Kyle Trask or Mac Jones or any of those guys, Trey Lance, are a significant upgrade over Darnold, you pull the trigger and take a quarterback at 2. If you don't, you either trade back, get that extra asset and take your guy, or build around Darnold with a new voice. I don't see the point in what do you think you could get for Darnold? If you trade Darnold, what could you get for Darnold at this point? A second-round pick?
Second-round pick tops.
Yeah. I mean, I still believe in Darnold. I'm not giving up on him for a second-round pick.
And hopefully the new coach, whoever they bring in, will be able to unleash that. But let's one more point about the Titans. So they got the Packers in week 16. This is, to me, is like a huge measuring stick game for both these teams because the Packers are poised to be the first seed in the NFC. The Titans look like a team that could potentially reach the AFC Championship game, if not go to the Super Bowl. What will you be watching for in this game?
All right, the number one thing is Green Bay. Their defense has been susceptible to the run game.
I should say, who do you trust more to win this game?
I trust the Packers. I trust the Packers way more. Because I don't think the Titans defense has given me any reason to believe in them. Now, the Packers defense throughout the season has been up and down, and their numbers they look better than they really are. They've got smoked by some of the better teams they've played. And I think, as we saw last year in the playoffs against the 49ers, when teams can pound the rock against Green Bay, they're a different team when their offense is on the sideline for 2/3 of the game. And no team in the league can pound the rock as well as Tennessee when Derrick Henry's going. So I want to see, it's nut check time. Green Bay, can you stop an elite run game? That's what I need to see, because offensively, I'm convinced they can score with anybody. Aaron Rodgers is playing at the MVP level. Devontae Adams is as good as any receiver. Aaron Jones is an elite running back in his own sense. Their offensive line's good. I'm not worried about their offense. I'm worried about, can their defense shut down a team that wants to run the ball down their throat? And I know there's not a San Francisco in the postseason this year that has that elite running game on the NFC side. But come postseason time, you know how it works. Running the ball becomes even more important. And can Green Bay man up and shut down a really good run game? That's what I'll be watching for. And then on the other side, Tannehill's been great. Can he match Aaron Rodgers in a game where he needs to?
I just feel like the Packers, I'll pull up their schedule here, but the two games that stand out to me in their schedule this year are they got absolutely embarrassed by the Buccaneers after jumping out to a 10-0 lead. That was just a complete disgraceful performance earlier in the season. And then they lost 38-10 to Tampa. And then they had a 2-touchdown lead against the Colts and then ended up losing 34-31 in overtime. So, I mean, look at the rest of the schedule. All right, they beat the Vikings, Lions. At the Saints in week 3 is probably the most impressive win. They beat the Falcons. They beat the Texans. They beat the 49ers.
I got a stat for you about the schedule. You ready?
All right, shoot.
They're 1-2 against teams with over 500 records and 10-1 against teams below 500.
There's something like that. Like their wins are not impressive. So so continuing off that, they beat the Jaguars by 4 points at home. They beat the Bears. They beat the Eagles. They beat the Lions, and they beat the Panthers. So like they really don't have like their marquee win is week 3, but that might as well be a lifetime ago.
The Saints.
The Packers, their marquee win.
But I'm saying over the Saints.
Over the Saints.
Yeah.
And the Saints, as you know, they're not people.
That was without Michael Thomas and before their defense rounded into form too.
Right. So I mean, I'm not a huge believer in the Saints. I don't really see unless Drew Brees all of a sudden can get it back to high gear again, and Michael Thomas. I mean, he needs Michael Thomas at the end of the day is what he really needs, because
sounds familiar. I feel like I may have said that once or twice.
But I do trust Drew Brees over Lamar Jackson. I will stand by that claim. I just feel like the teams that are trending backwards right now are Pittsburgh. I mean, I would be shocked if they won a playoff game, and New Orleans, because of just their inconsistent quarterback play, the Michael Thomas situation. What are you laughing at?
I just been saying this since literally week 1, and you tried to fight me tooth and nail on it, but now.
Well, if Drew Brees is not going to be the player, is going to be a shell of what he was because of breaking every rib in his body, then that's a different conversation.
Continue.
All right, so that's where I stand on those teams. Pittsburgh's an abomination. They stink. Big Ben is finished. He should. I mean, I know he says he wants to come back, but he may as well just retire, because the future with him is nothing. I don't know how. I still don't know how they started 11-0. I know they had an easy schedule, but that to me is just the biggest shocker of 2020 is that Pittsburgh, this debacle of a franchise, started at 11-0. They can't run the ball. They're deep. I mean, I know they've lost like every single person on their defense, but at one point, I'm just so mad at Pittsburgh because I had a 5-leg parlay. It was like it was plus 400 odds. I just needed Pittsburgh to win that stupid game, and I would have bet $20, and they blew it. I'm so angry at them. And Ben Roethlisberger never played in the NFL again. You're finished. I was calling for Mason Rudolph to come into that game. How do you lose to Ryan freaking Finley? That's an embarrassment. How do you look at yourself in the mirror after you just lost to Ryan Finley and expect to go out there and win another game the rest of the season? I mean, the Browns are going to win the NFC North. They're going to win that stupid division.
Yeah. And don't they play Week 17 too?
Yeah, come down to that. And who do you trust more? It's the Browns. They're gonna run the ball down their throats. Roethlisberger can't. He can't. I mean, the cold weather has just completely killed him because he can't throw the ball down the field anymore. Juju Smith-Schuster. I mean, did he used to be a competent receiver? He is finished as a receiver in the NFL. He has their one receiver.
Deontay Johnson.
Devontae Johnson can't catch the ball. Eric Ebron is hurt. James Conner, who knows if he'll be back this year. I mean, everything that could go wrong has gone wrong for that team, and Ben Roethlisberger is showing his age. That is the worst possible timing for everything.
Yeah, they're dropping like flies, and when you can't run the ball and you're that one-dimensional with receivers who have been up and down even Chase Claypool had that 4-touchdown game and was the breakout, Mapletron. He leads the league in drops. So it goes back and forth. But yeah, they're trending down. I agree with you that they're not going to win a playoff game. And you look at the AFC, they're like the 5th or 6th best team in the AFC right now. I mean, I know they're 11-3, but I don't trust them. I mean, I trust the Ravens more than them.
Oh, absolutely. I think if the Jets and the Steelers played this week, I think the Jets might be favored.
The Jets are frisky right now. I would not want to play the Jets.
Listen, the
They're
Jets.
going to win 3 games in a row and save Adam Gase's job.
Quentin Williams is out for the year. That just came out today. But so you look at this offense when it's whole, like Denzel Mims has a chance to be like a legitimate Pro Bowl caliber wide receiver. He is
very good.
Huge piece to that puzzle. And you look at Jamison Crowder. They just have some nice players. Listen, they should probably have like four or 5 wins. They should have beaten the Patriots. They should have beaten the Broncos. They should have beaten the Raiders. They beat the Rams. Like
bad coaching.
Well, forget the coaching, but like this team isn't as they're not like this team that just goes out there every weekend. You know, they had that Seahawks game, which everyone can point to. It was like, wow, what they lose like 52-3, whatever it was.
No, but they should have beat the Raiders and they should have beat the Patriots. Those two come to mind immediately as games that they absolutely somehow lost when they should have won.
And they had the Broncos game earlier in the year that they had basically had won. And then they beat the Rams. So that this should be like a 4 to 6 win football team. This isn't like one of those teams that goes out there every week and doesn't have a prayer.
The Jets should be in the hunt in the NFC East.
They would be in the hunt. Yeah. Oh God! All right. That's a good, great segue. So Washington is going to win that. I don't know how. So this division in the history of the NFL, literally, if you look at like the season in quarters, it went from the first quarter was the Cowboys are going to win this division without question, and then it went, oh, Dak's hurt, so the Eagles are going to win this division, no question about it. And then up until a couple weeks ago or a week or two ago, the Giants were going to win the division, and now it's Washington's going to win because they just need one more win, one more Giants loss. And the Giants have the Ravens coming up. I mean, the Ravens are just going to obliterate the Giants this week. I've never seen a division in my lifetime pan out like this NFC East is.
I think the one big change is Daniel Jones got hurt. And the Giants rushed him back against Seattle for whatever reason. I will never understand that. And he got hurt again. And you see, or not Seattle, who they play? Was it Cincinnati? Who they play after when he got hurt? Colt McCoy beat Seattle, so they burned back for Cincinnati. They did not need to bring him back for Cincinnati. It's a hamstring injury that needs time to rest. And for as good as Joe Judge has been all season long, that was a massive coaching mistake in my mind. They got obliterated by Cleveland, but they're only 1 game back and they hold a tiebreaker. So I'm not putting a bow on this division for Washington quite yet. I still think the Giants can win week 17. I wouldn't shock me if they beat the Ravens. I wouldn't expect them to. The Ravens seem to be clicking now, and they find a way to crush bad teams, and the Giants are slowly creeping back into that bad team status, especially with Daniel Jones being on the fringe. But that Washington defense, it's damn good. It really is damn good. And that defensive line is so filthy, and they could just destroy game plans with those front four by themselves. Chase Young's a Pro Bowler as a true rookie. He's the real deal. He's why I wanted the Giants to tank last year so they could get him. And that last win over Washington that screwed them out of Chase Young will haunt me for the rest of my life, just like not Trevor Lawrence potentially could haunt you for the rest of your life. But yeah, I mean, their defense is good. And the Giants offensively, Freddie Kitchens is the worst play caller of all time. Joe Judge tried going for it way too often in that game. Cleveland was the better team. They deserve to win, but they're only 1 game back and they hold a tiebreaker. So let's not put the bow on the division yet. The Giants are still in this thing.
I guess you really can't put a bow on anything at this point because who would have ever guessed that Washington at this point in the season would be where they are? I mean, it's almost unfathomable. Elsewhere in the division, the Eagles. Carson Wentz's career in Philly seems to be over. So I looked it up. Over the past 3 seasons, over the 18, 19, and 20, after he came off the ACL injury when they won the Super Bowl, he's 17, 21, and 1 with 64 touchdowns and 29 interceptions. Last year, he had 27 touchdowns to just 7 interceptions. This year, 16 and 15. But I think it goes a little bit deeper than that because they, in my mind, have the worst wide receivers in the NFL, bar none. Jalen Reagor is a waste of space. Alshon Jeffrey is the most washed up wide receiver in the game. Travis Fulgham, I don't even know how he played well for a few games. He stinks. They're only decent receivers. Greg Ward Jr., who's at the end of the day is a no-name player. And then Zach Ertz was hurt all year. Their offensive line has been decimated by injuries all year. So it's not like, he's got this great supporting cast and is failing to do the job with these amazing, talented playmakers around him. He arguably has the worst group of people around him in the entire sport. But on the other side, you see what Jalen Hurts has done, and you see the fact that he had 401 total yards against the Cardinals, more yards than Wentz ever had in the game in his entire career. He's the first Eagles quarterback to throw for 300 yards 3 touchdowns and rushing touchdowns since Vic. This is very fascinating because they gave Wentz all the money in the world. He believed he's one of the highest paid quarterback contracts in the sport. So if you move off him, he's basically still going to be on the team because of how much money he's going to be making. But it looks like Jalen Hurts is who they're going to go to. I don't know if they're ever going to win anything with him because he's yet to win a start. But he's obviously a source of excitement for that Philly fan base. But a tough spot to be in for that team.
Well, Hurts did beat New Orleans in his first start.
They win that game?
Yeah, they beat New Orleans.
Oh, you're right. He beat
But that's besides the point. You see rookie quarterbacks or backups come in for a couple of weeks when there's no tape on them, and it's like a rookie pitcher in baseball who comes out. Hitters have no scouting report. They look filthy, and then 3-4 starts later, teams get a read on them, and then it starts to slow down. Taysom Hill was the same way this year. Taysom Hill came out on fire when he got the starting quarterback job, and on fire for him was like rushing for 2 touchdowns and throwing for a play action touchdown. But I want to see Jalen Hurts when teams actually know what he's good at and what he's not, and they can devise game plans to stop him. But there is something to be said about how teammates react to a certain quarterback. And for whatever reason, whether it's right or wrong, Philadelphia is playing way harder for Jalen Hurts than they were for Carson Wentz. Now, I don't think Wentz is as bad as he is this year, and I don't think Wentz is as good as he was in his MVP caliber season when they won the Super Bowl. He's somewhere in the middle of that. But this season alone, I saw this on Get Up this morning. I'm stealing a take. He hasn't been one of the 5 best quarterbacks in the NFC East. He's been the 6th best quarterback in the NFC East this year in his own division. And it's clear that Jalen Hurts at this stage right now today is a better option for Philadelphia, who is still in the hunt for the NFC East division title somehow. So Wentz, he said he won't be a backup. He doesn't want to be a backup. Well, go back and win the damn job, Carson. You played abysmal this season. You have no right to say, I don't want to be a backup, because if how you played this season is how you're going to play the rest of your career, no team's going to want you as a backup. You're not good enough to be a backup based on your play this season alone. So shut up. Go into this offseason motivated. Go into this offseason hungry. Figure out where your shortcomings were and come back next year and try to beat out Jalen Hurts for the starting job in Philadelphia, because they're not trading you. They're not cutting you. You're going to be in Philadelphia next year. It's going to come down to, can you beat out Jalen Hurts? And I would like to think someone they paid $128 million to could beat out a second-round rookie quarterback who people had mixed emotions on to begin with.
The one scenario I could see Wentz not being in Philly is if Phil Rivers retires and Frank Reich's like, give me Carson Wentz. That is the one scenario where he's not in Philly next year is that he reunites with Frank Reich, and it's not going to cost the Eagles anything because Jalen Hurts is on a rookie contract for the next 3 to 4 years. So they have some room to.
But then you still have to eat. You still have to eat like $36 million for a guy that's not on your team, though. Like that's a hard pill to swallow, and unless you get a ton of draft capital back, like there's no player you're getting back that's equal to Wentz for $36 million.
I mean, you say that, but the Giants are they still paying the penalties for trading Odell Beckham? Is it? I believe that's still costing them some serious money.
Has it been 2 years? I know they have to pay 2 years. So is this the second year?
It must be, yeah.
Then they're still paying, yeah.
By the way, Odell Beckham, I was hearing whispers that if he got traded to the Chiefs, that would be like a Randy Moss to the Patriots type.
I'd quit.
Why?
There'd be no point.
No point to what? The playing?
Watching football. I mean, I think the Chiefs are going to win 5 of the next 10 titles anyway. So just give him Odell, make it 6 or
Odell
7.
would be so happy with Mahomes. Like, you thought like Odell was like happy with the Giants and happy. If you put him with Mahomes, he will be the happiest person on planet Earth.
Yeah, that'd be stupid. It'd be stupid.
All right, let's talk about the Heisman real quick. Because I don't know if you've been following. I've been following this. So
yes.
Before there was a point just a couple weeks ago, before the what was it, the LSU or Florida game, and I believe Alabama was playing who was it? Some scrub team, Ole Miss or Arkansas or whatever.
Arkansas.
DeVonta Smith was plus 3,000 to win the Heisman. Plus 3,000 to win the Heisman. Now, entering after the ballots have been casted, he's the favorite. He's like minus 250. It's insane.
He's a favorite?
He's the betting favorite to win the Heisman Trophy. I've never seen anything like it in my lifetime. He will be the first wide receiver since Desmond Howard in 1991 to win the award. He's got 98 catches, which is first in the FBS, first in yards with 1,511, second in touchdowns with 17. And I mean, if you watch the SEC title game, I mean, Mac Jones is great. Najee Harris is the best player on the field. This Devontae Smith thing, though, I mean, I just don't believe that he's actually going to win this award. Because Mac Jones, you can get a plus 150 right now. And I will put my money on him, but we have a Heisman voter that we work with at CBS Sports who's been saying for weeks, while he was plus 3,000, he's voting for Devontae Smith. And I don't like, it's weird. In my job, I see our guys say something, and then I watch the William Hill odds or fluctuate, like literally based on what they like after they say something. And this one person started this Devontae Smith like movement, and now he's the favorite, and he may win. I mean, for all we know, he may win, which is just crazy.
Oh, I'll say this. I have a buddy down here who is a first-time Heisman voter this year. And we chatted about potential candidates. And I'm not going to disclose this person's ballot, but Alabama has 3 guys who can win the Heisman. And really they have 8.
Najee's not going to win.
But I'm just saying who are Heisman caliber players,
right,
is what I'm saying. And really it's 8 because Alabama's offensive line is probably the most valuable unit of anything in the country because look what they've done for Najee Harris. Look what they've done for Mac Jones, and Mac Jones does it for Devontae Smith. So not my issue, because I think I'd vote for Smith too. If I was being honest, I think I'd vote for Smith too. I base it on this. If you watch that SEC championship game, I think of one route in particular that I guess sealed the deal for me. It was right after Alabama in the second half forced a fumble for Kyle Trask. They ran the ball on first down for Harris. He got 8 yards, 2nd and 2. They did a little play action, one-person route, and Devonta Smith absolutely burned the cornerback on a little post route to the middle. Mac Jones threw it behind him, but he was so open that he kind of made a little behind him catch for the touchdown. Do you remember the play I'm talking about?
I don't remember every play from that game, but I know that Devontae Smith had 2 touchdowns, like 184 yards.
It was his 2nd touchdown. It was not a very good throw. It was about 1.5 yards behind him. But Smith burned his defensive back so bad off the line that he was able to slow down, make the catch behind him, and the defensive back was still 2 steps away. Mac Jones has been great. Trust me. He destroyed A&M. But Devontae Smith is giving him open throws that almost any quarterback in the country should be able to make, whether they're a Mac Jones level or whether they're I can't think of a bad quarterback, but like a Colin Hill from South Carolina level. He's the best player in college football. Does that mean he's worthy of the Heisman? I don't know. But he is the best player in college football this year, or was the best player in college football this year.
What do you mean was? What is that supposed to mean?
Well, season's over.
Oh, I mean, we still.
But what I'm saying, like, as where the votes have been cast, he throughout the season has been the best player in college football. It's crazy to think though, because the quarterback numbers that Jones and Kyle Trask put up are simply, and even Trevor Lawrence are absolutely stupid. But Smith is still the best player.
You mentioned the offensive line, like, so there was a time where an offensive lineman has won the Heisman. I mean, what would an offensive lineman in like the 70s? There was a dude who as an offensive lineman won the Heisman. What would an offensive lineman have to do to even like get a vote?
It'd have to be one of those things where he just pancakes dudes every play and they get posted on social media and they go viral once a week, where he just absolutely flattens a defensive tackle or a defensive end on a blitz and opens. It's kind of like, you know how the Colts tweet out all these Quentin Nelson clips of him like pancaking dudes and he's mic'd up and then they hear him and he's like making fun of him on the ground. That's what I think a college offensive lineman would have to do. But it's not just one lineman for Bama. All 5 of them are literally all-American caliber. And Jones has enough time to tie his shoes and make a cup of tea before throwing the ball. And Najee Harris is running through lanes that a semi-truck could fit through. So that offensive line is the best unit of any unit, offensive, defense in football. So you can't give a whole line the Heisman, but I think they deserve it.
I'm just triple checking here. So 2 linemen have won the Heisman in history. I guess it's dating back to however long this goes. And there was a guy in 1996. Orlando Pace was a finalist for the Heisman as an offensive lineman. Just digging that up. But before we go, you have a Christmas sports wish. What is it?
Oh, Christmas sports wish. I hope Santa delivers Kyrie Irving everything he ever wants, so he can stay healthy and happy this season, and deliver the Nets an NBA championship.
I want Trevor Lawrence, and I want DJ LeMahieu. And there was some garbage spit out by someone yesterday on Twitter that the Mets contacted him. Just don't do that to me.
What about the Blue? I saw the Blue Jays are in it now.
Bo Bichette spewed some stuff as well. But listen, DJ LeMahieu is my player. I don't know why this is dragging on so long. This offseason in Major League Baseball is just taking forever. It feels like nothing has happened. It literally feels like nothing's
happened. Yeah, nothing's happened.
And,
the Mets signed that one guy I never heard of, and that's it. That's the only signing we know of.
And the Dodgers signed Tommy Kahnle, who's going to be out for the year with Tommy John surgery. So that's basically your MLB offseason in a nutshell. I don't know what's taking so long, but for the love of humanity, please, the Yankees, just sign DJ LeMahieu already. I mean, just let me move on with my life. It's an unnecessary hassle. I shouldn't have to deal with it. And please, for the love of God, Jaguars, beat the Bears. Jets lose out, and give me Trevor Lawrence so I could rub it in that Jackson Mayor's face. Nothing would make me happier than to just roast that guy and destroy him in every conceivable way on social media. But that will do it for episode 14 of the Lucas and Lucas podcast. You know where to find me. Have a fantastic holiday, everyone. We'll see you, I believe. I guess I'll see you maybe next week. We'll do it.
All right. Later, guys.